All right, good afternoon, or actually good evening. Today is Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018. My name is Kim Matina. I am a Google certified trainer and a top contributor in the Google for Education Help Forum. Today, I'm very happy to have on the show Michael Davidson. He is from Canada, but he teaches in New Zealand. And Michael is my first guest that is the furthest in location away from New Jersey. So I'm really excited to have him on the show. He's going to give me a new place mark on my map that is outside of the continental US. Michael also is a Google certified trainer and he's an innovator. And he is the founder of Maker Ed NZ. So welcome to the show, Michael.
Thanks for having me. I just want to say good morning since here in New Zealand it's actually Friday morning. So today I was going to talk and share what I do a lot with children and which is digital breakouts. So I've made, I think the count now is about 23 or 22, and in the process of making more. And what I found when the whole breakout EDU thing came out, it was kind of a scary thing for me to kind of try. Even though I liked it, it was a lot of work to kind of get a box, set it all up. And then I found when I was kind of introduced to the digital breakouts, they're really easy to deploy, especially if you've got a lot of devices. And when I use them with children, it was absolutely amazing how engaged they were, how excited they were, and how well they worked together. So after making the first one I really enjoyed making it. And the kids enjoyed doing it. So I just started making them more and more and more. And then I started sharing them with all throughout the Facebook group in New Zealand. And, it's kind of a thing now in here. And so I wanted to share with you how you can make some because they don't actually take too long. And you can kind of customize things for your students as you please. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and show you one of the ones that I've made. So for those people who have never seen one before, they can kind of get an idea of what it would look like. So give me just 2 seconds to do that. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, we could see it.
Brilliant. So this is one I made for Chinese Language Week. It's one that I use in a lot of my presentations to show because it's one I made a long time ago. But I guess this is if you want to try this one, you're going to get a few hints today. So the basic idea is that I use a Google site with up here a story at the top, and then on the side I have a Google form. Now this Google form is it's like a lock. So if I put in a number that's not the right number, it won't let me go forward. So I've set that up, and I'll show you today how to set that up as well. So the children or the adults, even because I've had lots of adults play this, have to find the clues and decipher the clues to figure out what number will open that lock. So just going through the layout again, I've got a timer here, which is kind of an optional thing. And you'll see a bunch of different elements. So we've got some writing in Mandarin. We've got a quiz here that I've made. There's a map. There's a link here, which brings you to a memory game. Going back there, there's a couple of videos that I've made. There's some flags, and a couple of them have some links. And then at the bottom of all my breakouts, I put kind of a list of who's broken out, as well as a link to my whole collection. So on the document that's going to be with this episode, I'll put the link to the main page that has all of my breakouts in case you want to try them. So one of the things is that, it's what makes this interesting is that it's hard. But at the same time, it should be a little bit easy to get into because, I've found if children find something that's really, really difficult, they just give up straight away. So I've kind of had to, through the journey of me making these, I've had to go through kind of a process of, okay, is this too easy? Is this too hard? So I've settled on kind of a plan. And actually, I've never shared this with kind of the full comments on here. But every time I make a breakout, I make a plan in Google Drawings. That's just for me so that I kind of get a sense of what's going to happen in the game. So as you can see, I've got a lot of different boxes here with a lot of arrows. So basically, I always try to start with the story here. So I know a lot of people say the story is the most important part, and to a degree, it does matter because there generally should be a theme to all the questions and clues. But I find most children don't even look at the story. They just want to go in and try and find the clues. So it's something that I do have a lot of fun with. This one particularly wasn't a very creative story of mine, but in other ones I've been fairly creative, and you can check some of those out. Everything here is kind of color coded. So the green is kind of the 5 locks that I usually do, and generally I put a color lock, so they're looking for kind of a sequence of colors. A word lock, so they're trying to figure out a word that might stick out, or a word that kind of might be hidden in something. A 4-digit lock. Sometimes I do different numbers of locks. So usually there's 2 number locks. 4 and 3 are the typical numbers, or 3 and 5. Sometimes I'll go up to 6, 7, depending on the type of clue I've got. And then also a directional lock. So I've used up, down, left, right, northeast, southwest, back, forward, things like that. I'm going to show you some examples of these actually. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth a bit from the presentation I usually do. So for example, I'll just look at a kind of a number lock here. And we've got this Halloween poster now. You know, most times when I go to a presentation or a session that I'm sharing, people get this quite quickly by looking at the 4 spiders there, the 5 spiders, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be 4, 5, 3, 7 would be that one. So I've just kind of given you one of the clues away. So number locks could be anything like that. Sometimes they're dates, sometimes they're addresses or phone numbers. Sometimes it's I did one where you play a game and it's the points that you get if you beat the game. So word locks. One thing that most people not from New Zealand wouldn't get this one down here. I absolutely love Maori Language Week, and it was a 5-letter word. And most Kiwis would know that the Maori word for love is aroha, AROHA. So that was the lock there. I've done other things where in this video you can see the children were saying phrases in a language, and on the board behind them there was a letter. So if you kind of put those letters together, they make up a word. In this one here, it was a matching activity. A friend of mine actually made this one. And then when you match everything, there's one genre left, and I'm not going to spoil that one in case you want to do the music one. Going on to, say, directional locks. Sometimes they're simple as, after doing that quiz that's on the Chinese language breakout, there's actually some words in Mandarin there. And if you pop those into Google Translate, they give you some directions. Another one I did was, it was all about Lego, and I had a boy show how he made something on Lego. And throughout that, his instructions, he used a lot of different directional words. And then there's a lot of things that you can do with maps. So putting points on a map and then having something connected to kind of how you're supposed to move through that map. Color locks can be quite tricky. This one here is actually, it seems really obvious, but if you look really close, the license plates actually, when you look at all the letters, spell red herring. So it was kind of a trick, but it is one way you could hide things. Another one you had to find the musical notes, and then if you put them onto the piano that I had there, it kind of gives you the colors for the color lock. And this one here is it was one of the first video clues I ever did, and it was my most favorite. And it was basically driving down the road. It took me about 5 or 6 tries to get this, but it's the colors of the stoplights, or the traffic lights, sorry. And you know, it's surprising how many people actually do get that one pretty quickly. But that's one of my most viewed videos on YouTube. So just goes to show you how kind of people like things that are kind of difficult, but also out there. So getting back to kind of my plan now. So all these elements kind of are color coded in different ways, or put onto this planning. So for example, all my blue things here are things that either linked directly from the main page, or they're things that are on the main page. So for example, I had the memory game that was there. There was a counting video, a phrases video. There were the flags. So these are kind of elements that I made through various things. And I mean, that's the kind of the more complicated part, is making these different elements. But there's a lot of different resources on the web. And if you just search Digital Breakout resources or join the Facebook group, there's often kind of discussions about this, and it's very easy to pick things up. And I think what I'll do is add a link to some of my resources onto the page after this. The other thing is I've got yellow ones, so I often put another form in there because I like using forms, and they can be quite good things to make people have to search things up. So I have a form here. So those are in yellow. I have some hidden kind of pages that have information. So I've got, I guess, the purple link, the purple boxes. For example, when you finish the quiz, you have the directions in Mandarin, and then actually that's one of the pages, or kind of one of the things hidden within the quiz. The last thing I have are the red boxes, which are my red herrings, and those could be anywhere. As you can kind of tell now, it's kind of giving this whole thing away, is that the Mandarin words on the page were red herring. I believe it actually says red herring when you translate it, and then the map of the Chinese cities was just there for show to get people kind of learning some new things. So once we have all of this kind of planned out, then it's time to build it. So generally what I do is kind of in parallel, because for me, it's kind of hard to focus on one task at a time. So I'm always jumping back and forth, is that I make the the site and the Google form at the same time. So I'll go through that process if you've never done that before. So we'll start with the form. So new, more Google Forms. And it gives me a nice blank form here. So I'm just going to type sample breakout. It gives me one question here, and I'm not sure if this works on everyone's, but since I've made this so many times, when I write word lock, Google actually is pretty smart and knows that it's a short answer. So for each kind of lock, you need to do a few things. First thing is make it required, because if it's not required, it's not going to stop anyone from going in. It's like having a lock, but not actually putting it on the door. From there, you need to give it a description. So I'm going to say say it's 5 letters. And this is really important. I found that some people who've tried to replicate these and show me what they've done, they've forgotten this part. And when I'm trying their breakout, I just sit there and think, well, I don't even know what word this could be. It could be anything. It could be 2 letters. It could be 3 letters. So it helps narrow it down by giving the number that it needs. And in a real physical breakout, you'd have that anyways, except maybe for the directional lock, but you'd have that information. So it's a way to make it not too hard. But this next bit I'm going to show you is actually where all the magic kind of occurs. So it's called response validation. If you never use this in forms, it's an amazing thing. When you have short answers, you can actually have it check to see if the answer fits a certain criteria, and if it doesn't, it won't allow that answer. So that's why the answers were blocked before. So I'm going to change that to text and contains, and I'm going to use the word happy. Now, another thing that is actually important, I just forgot to go because my mind's kind of a bit scattered, is that case does matter. So if I were to write lowercase here, it wouldn't work. So after the 5 letters, I write all caps. So I'm going to show you what happens if I don't do the next part, because I think it's really important to know that, because I've actually made this mistake a couple times and then had to quickly scramble when it was really easy. So I'm going to show what it looks like under preview. So it's taking a little long to load. And if I type in the word, or I just put any letter, it tells me it must contain happy. So what you need to do back in the form is write something in this custom error text. And I just generally go with sorry, try again. And I'm going to reload that and see what we've got. And so then, and if I do it in a small case, it doesn't work. So there we have it, and I can submit the form now. So I've just broken through my lock that I've created. To do a number, create a new question, and I'm going to put number lock, make it required. And it actually is smart. Again, it knows that if I write number lock, it gives me that response validation. So Google's developed a pretty good kind of AI behind all this. If you do this enough, it knows what you want. So it's not going to be is number, because that's just going to check whether it is a number. So whether it's a 1, 2, 3, any number, we want it to be equal to, and I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, sorry, try again. And in the description, I'm going to write 5 digits. The other lock, so for example, the color lock, it's actually quite similar to the text lock, but the only thing you need to do in your description is to write, say, 5 colors. Wait, I'll change that for my American audience. So B equals blue, R equals red, P equals purple, and so on. You're going to notice, though, that some colors, for example, black and blue, have the same first letter. So sometimes for black, I might be, or A equals, or sorry, L equals black. And it's really important to put that because, again, if the people playing your game don't know which letter stands for which, then they won't be able to answer it properly. And the same goes for if you're doing a directional lock, E equals east, N equals north, U equals up, D equals down. It's less of a mystery because there's not really any kind of repetition in the letters, but it's still really important to give that information when you're making a breakout. So I'm just going to actually delete that one to make it a little simpler. And so now that we've got our form, and you can customize this a lot with some of the new features that Google Forms has, we're going to go and make the site. So new, more, and Google Sites. So when you open it, you've got kind of all this, and it's even changed for me from the last time I made a breakout with all these new layouts, which I just, at the moment, I'm tending to ignore, but I'll probably get into that at some point. So again, sample breakout. And again, sample breakout. What I usually put first is I'll make a text box and put the story goes here. It's kind of important. You want them to see it straight away, and I tend to make it heading so it's kind of big. And you can adjust kind of the background by doing things like that. You can even change the whole color scheme or general theme this way. Often I try and put an image in here. I'm not sure if it's going to, so I can search. I can put anything in the gallery. I can put anything in my Google Drive. I'm just going to see if there's any interesting ones. That looks like an interesting picture, so I'm going to put it in there. The next thing I need to do after the story goes in is I'm going to insert the form and put it, often I put it down the side, but that's just a personal preference. It doesn't have to go there. So in recent, it's going to bring up the form that I've got, and it's very simple just to drag this down and you can fill out, see the whole form there. Timers aren't necessary, but since I've made my own timer, I like to kind of put that in. So you can go into YouTube, and I'm actually going to, from my channel, there's tons of things on here. So I've got to zoom all the way down to my 45-minute timer. Just plugging my channel a little bit and drag my timer to where it needs to be. Now the next thing is to kind of go and make all of the elements for your breakout. And I'm just going to have a show of kind of some of the things that are out there. I know a lot of people like to use this site called Jigsaw Planet. It's fairly straightforward. You just sign up. I think you can actually even do it without signing up. Upload a picture, and you can choose how many pieces, the shapes of the pieces, and then it gives you a link. And actually, there's a way in some of the recent breakouts I've managed to embed it in the site. So another
what
thing.
does that do, Michael? What is that? I never heard of that.
Oh, Jigsaw Planet. Let's see if I can actually go and find one that I've used. So I'll go to. I'll open up one of my breakouts that has one in it, if I can remember which one has one in it. I believe the Lego one does. The trick is because now I've actually made it so difficult. Oh, there it is. Okay. I don't actually remember. I made so many that I don't remember. So this is one of the jigsaws that I've got. So It's actually pretty tricky because I put it on this green carpet. But as you can see, once you kind of match up the bits, you can.
So it's a digital puzzle that you make the students do.
Yeah, so they've got to kind of figure it out, and then when they do the puzzle, there's often kind of a clue on there. And this one's a pretty cryptic clue. You have to kind of connect it to a few other things. But once you can see, there's a bunch of Lego pieces, and once they've got kind of, this one was, you needed to know the order of the pieces because they match up to something else that was on the front page.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So sometimes what you can do, because you can make any picture, so I'll go on to say Google Drawings and make maybe like a link. There might be a link that I put onto Google Drawings so that when they complete the puzzle, it's on there. Or maybe there's, I think the Maori language one I did, there was the words, the Maori words for different colors, and once you got that, you got the order, and that was the color lock. So there's lots of different ways you can kind of hide a clue in here, and it's something that kind of takes a little time. That was a particularly easy one. I think some of the other things that you can do are quite, they can be quite complicated. So some of the things on this page, you can see they've got 255 pieces, which would be kind of cruel if you're trying to have kids do a breakup, but sometimes it's good to be cruel. It forces them to kind of think a little bit harder. It's something that it's not something I would overuse, but it is something that is kind of useful. This other thing, actually, match the memory, was a neat thing I did as well, and that wasn't on the list. I think it's on the list that I have from the breakout group. But basically, you can set a bunch of cards, and they give you they'll give you like a letter or some sort of congratulations. So what I've actually done on this one is that you need to, and it's going to take me some time. Oh, so you see a W pops up when I match the one there. So what you've got to do is write that down, and then when you get them all, it kind of gives you the clue that you need. So I want to do this because it's actually a really good way to learn some of the things that we were trying to learn that week. So learning the numbers in Mandarin, and it gives the kids a chance to do that. So
that's cool. I like that.
So that was matchthememory.com. That's when I was first making them, I tended to use a lot of those things, like even sites like fake text messages, which are a really neat way. So it's super simple. You just literally put in and then you can actually swap. You can make all sorts of clues there, and I've done one where you kind of have to read a text message between the dad and his son about something that happened, and then match that up with something else that you find there to give you a number. It's a good way to kind of, I mean, even just for anything you do, you could do this in different areas. If you're writing a story, I think this is what people probably use when they do those, like say Romeo and Juliet in text messages. So it's a neat little tool that's free on the web. Another thing I've used kind of extensively is fake airline tickets. I think there's a few out there, but this one was kind of the easiest one to use. Was I think it's omatic.musicairport.com, and often I'll put tickets, and you kind of got to put them in the order, and that could work for say maps, or I've even done it for colors. One of the neat ones I did, I can't remember which one it was for, was there was different places in the world that had colors kind of in their names, so like Baton Rouge and Whitehorse and things like that. So kids kind of had to put them in order, then figure out these places actually mean colors in different languages. I always use YouTube, make my own videos for it, and if you go onto my channel, you'll see massive numbers of videos that kind of don't really make sense on their own. Some of them do actually, but then they kind of all fit in with the breakouts. Google Drawings are another amazing tool. I've made so many things on there, and so many different activities that can be done. But when I was doing this presentation, when I got to here, I found this list, and I'll share this somewhere, 50+ digital resources, and there's so many different things you can do. Often I'll go on here and kind of pick things up. with other kind of ideas. There's kind of red lens stuff. You can kind of make ransom notes. There's more jigsaw puzzle ones on there. I think there's even more fake text messages and some more. Most of the things actually I've used have been from this list. Two things that I do use that I'm actually quite proud of myself, and I don't know if I've seen much of that in other digital breakouts, are Scratch and CoSpaces. And let's see if I can find one of those examples, because I know hopefully this doesn't crash the connection. So for Anzac Day, which is kind of like Remembrance Day or Veterans Day or Memorial Day, we kind of celebrate that in Australia and New Zealand. And one of the things I did was for the breakout was I created a digital version of trenches for kids to go through. So they had to kind of navigate through this maze, which was trenches, and spoiler alert, it's kind of a direction lock. So throughout here, there's two people hiding, and it's one of them tells you to go to the other one. And I luckily put that nice little map on there so that people could figure it out. So I've used this about 2 or 3 times. It's quite a neat way. And one thing I'm looking to in the future, this is kind of a secret that I haven't really shared too much, is that I think I could actually make a breakout completely in one of these spaces, because it is codable, and it can do lots of different things. And then this one is one of my favorite Scratch clues that I've made. Part of my actual innovator project was all about coding, so this has helped me learn quite a lot. And this one, I actually got quite annoyed because, again, children are quite smart and they're quite clever, and they managed to figure out this clue without having to do what they're meant to do. They just went into the source code. So I've kind of hidden things a little bit there before. But the idea with this is somewhere on the site you also find a video where it's playing a song over and over and over and over again. And the idea is I actually went to an escape room where I saw a clue like this. And if you play the right notes, it gives you a message which sends you somewhere. So I think I did remember it. So you get this ghost that pops up, and it tells you to go to that, and it gives you, I think actually that goes to a bunch of the plane tickets. So I think I guess I kind of explained most of what I do. It is a tricky thing to kind of get into with the clues, but once you start being creative, I find your mind starts to go think, oh, I could do this for a clue, I could do that for a clue. But even at the end of the day, it doesn't even need to be complicated. It could just be a series of kind of comprehension questions or something that if you get right, then you get a word or some math problems. If you want to do all number locks, I did one that was quite mean about Hanukkah, and based on the song kind of 8 Crazy Nights, I thought 8 crazy locks. So in that, I just put 8 locks, and I said, these are the locks. One of them is a 5-digit number lock. One of them is a 6-word lock, but I didn't actually label which lock. So I think that's probably the only one that no one's actually broken out. So maybe that's a challenge for someone, is to figure that out. But I will put this link on this page, and these are all the ones that I've made so far. And even through this site, I've got my all of my presentations on this. So all of that stuff's pretty much available through that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much kind of what I've been doing for the last almost year.
That is awesome. I really enjoyed that. I've made one digital breakout, and then I did it last year, and it was on computer science. And the clues that I came up with were like, I put a picture in, the kids had to find the clues within the picture. I don't even remember what else I did, but it wasn't as comprehensive as what you did. It was more basic because I'm a beginner. And it was basically to, just unlock the code. I think I had 5 locks, and the clues were very basic. I didn't have them go into different activities like you demonstrated. It was really basic, and it was fun. It was fun to create, and I had it on the website for kids to, to try it. But it was fun to create. If you're really it's really taking the tools and putting a new twist on them, really, and using them in a way that isn't you're using them in a different way. You're not using them as a traditional website for parents to connect to or look at, or you're not using forms for quizzes. It's totally different. So it's a whole different perspective of using the Google tools. And I honestly did like how you used Google Drawings as a flow chart to map out your thoughts on how your breakout is all laid out, and that's a great thought process. It's good to show the kids how you came up with that afterwards,
Yeah.
how you came up with and created your digital breakout, and you can show them the Google drawing and say, this is my brain, this is my brainstorming activity that I did to come up with it. So I think it's important to show the kids how you thought of it too, and that's how you came up with organizing your thoughts. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Even all the clues, like the activities that you demonstrated too, a lot of them are new to me. That was very helpful. Maybe you can throw that that presentation link into
Yeah.
the public doc there, because I think it's really helpful. You covered so much, and also put your YouTube channel
Yeah, I think that might be. I
in
think I might
there,
have put that there.
because I mean, you said you created some timers. I mean,
Oh
need
yeah.
people use timers. I mean, I know I use timers, but I don't use those type of timers. I just go to Google search, google.com, type in set timer, and I'm done.
Yeah.
But having the timer embedded into the Google site is nice, because it gives the kids more of a visual on in their group, or at their level. They're not always looking up at the big screen, or always checking the time. It's always right there in front of them. So I think it's nice. It's nice that you have a collection of all those resources right on the site. Now, let me ask you one more question. The Google site that you create, everything is all on one page. You don't have multiple pages.
The breakouts are all on one page. I'm actually working on about three projects right now. Are kind of there's stuff on there for, and there's other little bits, kind of that are on hiatus. But that's kind of where I put everything that I make. So on one page there's my digital breakouts. On another page there's my coding across the curriculum videos. There's the newsletter that I'm making is a page on there as well, and all my presentations are on one page. I think as the digital breakouts expands, and I'm kind of looking at, I mean, if you look at a lot of the things right now, they're not so much curriculum based as they are kind of like, it's a special day today, so we're going to do a breakout for that, or there's a special theme. I think what we're so I've got a kind of assistant right now who's helping me make some things, and I think what we're looking to do is kind of make some kind of maths things so that they can actually fit like at this level, because in New Zealand we go by levels, not by grades. So you could have different children on different things. So yeah, we're looking at maybe kind of organizing it a little bit better, because now that there's 20 or so, and if someone's looking for something specific, it's going to be trickier as that grows. So maybe putting different kind of, this is all about language ones, or this one's all about science ones, or things like that. So
You
but
could
right
make
now,
another website linking to your breakouts according to levels or subject areas.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's one of the kind of, not criticisms I say, but often questions I get when I share them. Is it, what level is this for? And it's like, I don't know really. And that's, I guess I've got a lot of kind of growth to do in this kind of area as well. And I mean, you were saying like yours was simple, but that's actually a really good thing, because for some kids they need that simpleness, and it doesn't need to be complicated. And I think that's one of the lessons I've learned, is that I've been trying to be all clever and smart and make some really clever clues, and then often kids are like, they have no idea.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Like I think if you start off simple, even when you're creating them, you're giving them simple. I mean, the clues can be simple to intermediate, but as far as creating everything could be simple. And then once they perfect the whole concept of a breakout, then you can make your clues a little bit more complex if you're using digital breakouts with those same kids throughout the year. But
yeah,
and if you're not, and you use that same breakout with different kids, then you just tweak that breakout to make it easier or make it harder, or you can differentiate, in that breakout, according to, like, I'm going to be teaching um, all kids in my school. So I can use the same breakout and just kind of tweak it and make it harder or easier as I go through the school year, if I'm using the same content. But some teachers, they teach, math, or they teach all the subjects, and you can have one breakout for each subject, or one breakout for, one subject for all of your classes if you teach high school, so it does give you a lot of flexibility. It's just a way of twisting it and manipulating it and thinking it of the Google tools, using it in a different way.
Yeah. And it's not even just for kids too. Like when I first shared it with adults, the threads on the Facebook post were just super long about the adults trying to collab, and that was an amazing thing to see them collaborate. And I know the EdTech team summits. Every time I go, they pretty much ask me, or I volunteer, but I think sometimes they ask me to make a breakout for that, and it's amazing to see how much the adults get into those. I mean, they've skipped sessions to keep on to do them and learn how to do them. And I can't go too far now into New Zealand schools without someone recognizing, oh, you're the guy that makes those now. So
Oh, that's cool.
it's a bit weird to have that, to people come up to me and tell me they know me and they've seen the stuff I made, but it's pretty good to see that people are taking this idea and going it with themselves. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you're
happy.
making a difference. You're definitely making a difference with it. And it's nice that you can use it as staff professional development, team building, community. There's more to it than just using it for students. Like you said, you can definitely use it with adults, use it with teachers, administrators, team building. That's what it's all about. So yeah, no, that was really helpful. I definitely got a lot out of that session. I really appreciate you being on, Michael.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No, thank you. I'm glad that we were able to connect. I know we canceled a few times because of different things that came up, but I'm so thankful that you were able to be on today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So if you go to google.com and you type the Sweet Talk, my website will come up. And I just want to show you all the episodes that were recorded, or the show notes will be in the episode tab. And you can find all of the episodes with this episode link from YouTube and show notes right in on this page. So that is available in the episode page. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, you can go over to the guest tab or the guest page and fill out my Google form, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. My show is available as a podcast now, which that was one of my on my to-do list for the summer. So it's available on Podbean, and it is also available on Google Play Music Store. So they're free. So if you want to listen to Michael talk about digital breakouts while you're driving to work, you can. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all that. And here is the information. So if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can just do bit.ly/the Sweet Talk channel. My website is bit.ly/the Sweet Talk website. And if you'd like to email me, you can email me at sweettalkshow@gmail.com. And you can see all the other links for Podbean and Google Play Music. And that is it. I'm back. So I'd like to thank Michael for being on the show again. And I am going to be posting all of this on Twitter and throughout social media. So I hope that, you were able to get something out of it. If you have any questions for Michael, his contact information will be on the Google agenda. You can always tweet him or email him or visit his website and subscribe to his YouTube channel to get up to date on his videos as well. So without further ado, I would like to say thank you again, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Right.